What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Week 8 Commish Report, where I break down the week that was, preview the week to come, and, of course, go over the standings in the league that I am commissioner for, called the League of Shiva. We'll also go take a look at the current playoff picture. But before we do all of that, I just have to say that tonight, the night that I'm of this recording, of course, is Game 6 of the 2013 World Series, and I am very excited.
Woo! Go Red Sox! Yes! Yes! Game 6! Game 6, baby! Tonight! Our house! Fenway Park! Yes! Fenway Park! Boston Red Sox! World Series champions! Come on! Let's do it!
But yeah, I'm pretty excited, so it should be a fun night to watch them, that's for sure. But let's get back on track and talk some fantasy football, starting with the matchup of the week. This week, I'm going to call out the matchup of the week as being Google This All the Way beating the Nocho Cincos 102-95. Going into Monday night, this matchup was tied at 93 points. Nocho Cinco had running back Marshawn Lynch going on Monday night, and Google This All the Way had his kicker, Greg Zerline, I don't even know how to say his name. I'm going to say Zerlin. I think that's probably correct, playing on Monday night. Typically, a running back like Marshawn Lynch will outscore most, if not all, kickers in the league. Not the case this week, as he only puts up 2 points, and Zerlin, or whatever his name is, got Chris and the Google This All the Way 8 points, and finished off the victory over Nocho Cinco, which is my mother's team. And she has dropped 3 straight matchups in a row now and is sitting all the way down in the 9th overall seed of the league with a record of 2-6. She has also had very unfortunate situations come up quite frequently this season with her bench players. This week it was the story of her bench players normally were outscoring her active players. So she was just getting the wrong people as far as putting them in. But this week it was the story of her backup kicker and backup defenses putting up 44 points collectively on her bench. If she plays those 2 players, she wins this matchup outright. Google This All the Way, managed by my brother Chris, wins 2 straight matchups, keeping his playoff hopes alive, moving to 5-3 on the season as the Nocho Cincos fall to 2-6. The other matchup of the week, or I guess the upset of the week, or it was definitely in the running as matchup of the week, is the Philly Cheesesteaks, managed by Jeff, winning 119-109 over the Some Things You Can't Unsee Bros, managed by Timmy. Philly Cheesesteaks beat the Some Things You Can't Unsee Bros 119-109 and moved to 5-3 on the season. Timmy had 52 points from quarterback Drew Brees this week. However, he had 5 players on his starting roster with 7 or fewer points. Philly Cheesesteaks win despite getting 0 points from running back Darren Sproles and -1 points from his Bills defense. His big performers were quarterback Matthew Stafford with a big 38-point performance and 24 points from swing wide receiver Josh Gordon. Timmy had 46 points from Andy Dalton on his bench, and a few players were on their bye week for him, but the bench points didn't matter as he played the best team he could this week, and it wasn't enough. Jeff's Philly Cheesesteaks win in what was arguably the upset of the week. Jeff keeps his playoff hopes alive by beating a team that is first in the opposing division. Some Things You Can't Unsee Bros fall to 5-3 on the year. Now, from first to worst, we got the poop matchup of the week, which would be, of course, the Binghamtons losing 160-57 over the Doug Tatership. This was a difficult one to call, the poop matchup of the week, because it really should have been called the blowout of the week, since Doug Tatership wins by 103 points and would have beaten every other team in the league. Instead, he got what might begin to be known as the Binghamton bye week. My brother's John Binghamton's team would have lost to every single other team in the league this week and remains as the last place team, or SACO, of the League of Shiva. Doug got crazy career performances out of wide receiver Calvin Johnson, getting him a whopping 46 points, and also very good weeks from quarterback Aaron Rodgers with 28 points, and a combined 36 points from his running back core, Noshawn Moreno and Zach Stacy, both with 18 points. Binghamton only had 8 points from quarterback Tom Brady and collectively got 13 points from 5 out of his other 8 players. That's not good. The Doug Tatorships cruising to their third victory in a row and moves up to 500 with a 4-4 record. Binghamton now having lost 5 straight matchups remain in the basement of the league at 1-7. In fact, Binghamton was the only team from the North Division that did not win their matchup this week. Each matchup this week was an interdivision matchup and did not affect division records. However, the Shiva North Division went 4-1 in the 5 matchups this week. So we move on to what I'm going to call bye-week hell ensuing as Hump Day Camels lose 119-76 to the New Hampshire Madmen. She had the Colts on a bye week, so she had to bench some of her highest, I'm talking Hump Day Camels here, she had to bench some of her highest scoring players from previous weeks, being quarterback Andrew Luck, wide receiver T.Y. Hilton, and of course her Colts defense. The New Hampshire Madmen, managed by Dave, had this matchup won on Sunday night, even though he had Golden Tate going on Monday night, who had a career night. Hump Day Camels had 5 players with 8 or fewer points this week. And the number 1 overall draft pick, Adrian Peterson, who is a Hump Day Camel, only got her 14 points and has been extremely disappointing for her this season. New Hampshire Madmen have had 21 points from Des Bryant, despite Des Bryant complaining very visibly on the sideline on Sunday that he doesn't get the ball enough from Romo, allegedly. He also had a 23-point performance from Golden Tate and didn't even need it. He would have won without Golden Tate even playing. Dave's New Hampshire Madmen even had Martellus Bennett on the bench and had to play his Jets backup tight end, Jeff Cumberland, who actually suffered a concussion in Sunday's game and got him 0 points. No harm, no foul. Hump Day Camels fall to 3-5 on the year and have slipped out of the playoff seeds for right now into 7th place. And the New Hampshire Madmen moved to 6-2, which is the second best record in the league. But it is actually still only the 3rd playoff seed, as he is in my division, and my Big Fat 77s are now 7-1. Speaking of which, I won my matchup 102-82 over the Mile High Social Club. I should have cruised to victory in this one, and I did, as my Big Fat 77s have now won 6 straight matchups in a row and are all alone on top of the entire league. I don't want to say that this was an easy victory, but a win is a win. For the 2nd straight week, my team put up 102 points and had enough to win the matchup. In fact, it was 79-71 in favor of Dan's Mile High Social Club going into the late afternoon games on Sunday. I only had a couple of players left to play. However, one of those players was my wide receiver, Jordy Nelson, who got me a whopping 31 points and basically won me the week. He got 2 touchdowns and over 120 yards receiving. If Nelson doesn't have that performance, I lose the matchup, and it becomes the poop matchup of the week. But it worked out in my favor. I win 6 straight. I'm now at 7-1, and the Mile High Social Club, with the loss, falls to a lowly 2-6, which is tied for the 2nd worst record in the league. So, that was the week that was. Time for the week to come. Let's preview Week 9's matchups now. Starting with the New Hampshire Madmen at 6-2, taking on the Google This All the Way at 5-3. This is a rematch of a Week 4 performance, or a Week 4 matchup, where Google This All the Way actually only won by 1 point, 118-117. This matchup will be the final meeting of these two teams in the regular season, and it will be the only matchup it will also be a matchup consisting of 2 of the top-ranked teams in this league. As of the time of this recording, the projections are in favor of Dave's New Hampshire Madmen, but as we all know, you can't always count on those pesky projections. This has the potential to go either way, and is my pick for the marquee matchup of Week 9. New Hampshire Madmen will be looking for revenge on that 1-point loss 5 weeks ago. Moving on, my 7-1 Big Fat 77s taking on the Some Things You Can't Unsee Bros at 5-3. Another battle of heavyweights, no pun intended, my Big Fat 77s, of course. As the South Division leading Timmy's The Some Things You Can't Unsee Bros gets to take on my almost unbeatable Big Fat 77s, and gets to take me on during Week 9, which would be, that's right, Peyton Manning's bye week. So Timmy gets to go up against Super Bowl champion Joe Flacco this week in his first and most likely last appearance in the fantasy world this season, or at least in this league. This was pretty much the week that I looked ahead in the beginning of the year as a week that I would most likely lose since Peyton, Julius Thomas, Broncos defense, Victor Cruz all have bye weeks this week. So Timmy will have to try to decide if he will play Drew Brees or Andy Dalton, which has proved to be a tall task for him in the past few weeks on that decision. I can't wait to gloat about the fact that I beat the Some Things You Can't Unsee Bros while on a bye week crutch. Moving on, the 2-6 Mile High Social Club taking on the 4-4 Dugtatorship. The Red Hot Dugtatorship looking to extend their winning streak to 4 as they take on the struggling Mile High Social Club, who, as I mentioned earlier, have lost 2 straight. This is the first of 2 meetings this season for these 2 teams and could prove to be a difficult task for Dan's Mile High Social Club. He has quarterback Colin Kaepernick on bye this week and currently has 0 backup quarterbacks on his bench. So far, early projections have Doug winning this one in a landslide. Also, the Hump Day Camels at 3-5 taking on the Nocho Cincos 2-6. Both of these teams are coming off of a tough loss this past week and are looking to turn their seasons around in hopes of an appearance in the playoffs. This is the first of 2 matchups this season for this division rivalry. And, of course, it's my girlfriend versus my mother, so that should be interesting to see how that one goes. I will say that both teams are dealing with some minor setbacks with bye week players, but both seem to have a wealth of options to go to in such a situation. So far, however, the Hump Day Camels are slated to win this matchup, and a loss for either team could be one more nail in their proverbial coffin and could set them on track for not making the fantasy postseason. Last, and very much least, Philly Cheesesteaks at 5-3, taking on the Binghamton at 1-7. As I stated earlier, if Binghamton wants any shot at a playoff berth this season, he will have to turn things around now. He is getting closer and closer to being mathematically eliminated from the playoff contention, and otherwise we will look at this matchup of the first of 2 Binghamton bye weeks for the Philly Cheesesteaks. That's right, the last 2 matchups I mentioned here, Philly Cheesesteaks in Binghamton and the Hump Day Camels and Nocho Cincos, are both the first of 2 meetings respectively. But these 2 matchups will also be the same on Week 13, which is the final regular season week. So this is kind of a preview of the final week of the season for them. But honestly, Binghamton is looking woeful yet again this week with a bunch of players on bye weeks. He's currently projected for a measly 59 points, which is actually only 2 points more than he scored altogether this past week. So that does it for the preview of Week 9. Now we'll take a look at the standings and the playoff picture. Thanks for joining me this week for this week's Commish Report, and make sure you join me next week as we do it all again. And here come the standings. With my Big Fat 77s being the first team to score over 1,000 fantasy points this season in this league, and by winning my Week 8 matchup, I am currently sitting on top of the league and my division at 7-1, while the New Hampshire Madmen sits in second in the North Division at 6-2. Google this all the way, and Philly Cheesesteaks holding on, tied at 5-3 as Binghamton continues his downward spiral and sits at the bottom of the division and the league with a 1-7 record. As for the South Division, the Some Things You Can't Unsee Bros are alone atop that division with a 5-3 record as Dugtatorship bounces back to 500 at 4-4. Hump Day Camels at 3-5, and the Mile High Social Club and Nocho Cinco are tied for last place in the South with records of 2-6. And to wrap up the Week 8 report here, let's take a look at the playoff picture. With the playoffs starting in only 6 weeks, here's how the playoffs would look if they started today. No changes from last week in the bye week scenarios, as Big Fat 77s and the Some Things You Can't Unsee Bros are still in the number 1 and number 2 seeds. In fact, the only change to this playoff picture is that Hump Day Camels have dropped out of the 6th place position, which has been taken over by the Dugtatorship. If the playoffs started right now, Philly Cheesesteaks would take on Google This All the Way, and Dugtatorship would take on the New Hampshire Madmen in the quarterfinal round. That does it for the Commish Report. Thanks once again for watching. Go Sox, and I will see you all later.